So how do you branch out and shift your content to personal development and healing and that kind of thing? So you are on a social platform, and that's fantastic. You're developing an audience, you're starting those conversations with them. There was a time when we had to be very clear and very specific on what we were doing. And if we made a shift, we had to do a clean break kind of a thing and just completely change what we were doing. And that's not true anymore. Now people are here not necessarily for your knowledge, even though that is the catalyst to getting them to follow you. They're here to learn more from you because there are so many people doing the things that you're doing. Think about it. There are so many people who are authors like me. There are so many people who are social media strategists and educators like me, but people actively choose me because of the way that I do it. Because I don't do fluff, because I give direct answers, because I'm very quick and get people back on the road with what they're doing. So they're looking for you and they want to see what you're doing, but they also kind of want to see your life, like behind the scenes, what you're doing, what's your doggy doing, like what's going on. So at this point, TikTok specifically has come out and said, you don't need a billion accounts. Just have one account and be a multifaceted person. People are relating to that. That's what's working really well. They've said that for the last year or so on the platform. So if you're starting to add in new things, do it. Go a little slow. Don't overwhelm people. If you have a very specific niche that you're in and you want to add more to it, that's great. Slower transition. One here, one there, little more, build up to it. And don't go cold turkey on the other stuff. Slowly transition, add things in, add some personal notes in. We're being real and relatable here. So as you are starting to do this, it's really smart for you to find some type of crossover, a way that we can help them. So let's just use me as an example. I started this account specifically for my author life. I had a separate account for my social media marketing education life. When I decided to make that crossover thing, so everything was all in one at the behest of TikTok, I looked for ways to cross over. What are my readers going to like from learning how to grow on social media that's not going to isolate them? How do I do that slow crossover? Because the vast majority of my 27,000 followers were bookish people. So I had to slowly move them into it. Now I do some of everything. And I make sure that as I have multiple audiences, I am putting out a bunch of content in each section. And because I'm putting out a lot of content every day, I make sure I have at least one thing every day for each of my audiences and then any extra on top of that. Unless there's some kind of weird thing going on with it where I'm super hyper focused on one thing one day. That's okay because the next day I'll catch up with the other one. So making sure that you have some crossover content that works for both and then piecing out into that different separated content is going to work really well for you. But honestly, this is TikTok. If you're trying to grow on TikTok, it's different than Instagram. It's different than YouTube. Now, the one thing I will say is on TikTok, you can cross over all you want. Go for it. Go for it. Instagram, you can kind of cross over too. YouTube's need to be separated. Don't do this on YouTube. If you are like me and you've got multifaceted things, you're doing two different things, keep those separate. You will find on my YouTube, I have social media education and I've got my author life. Two different entities, two different channels because nobody's going to follow me if they can't understand my YouTube channel. YouTube is still old school in the way that they're categorizing things. So you want to make sure if you do have two separate things, that those are two separate channels and we're not dealing with crossover on YouTube. The rest of the platforms, fine to mix. YouTube, keep it separate if you want to grow and monetize.